uh, Welcome back to the another video where in this video we are trying to build a simple profile card where you're using all the concept that we learned in the last two videos, that is like a container and column row, that is a leveraging widgets. Using that we are trying to build a simple UI. So if you have not watched other two videos, so it is like recommended for you people to do watch. If not, in this video we are trying to trying to explain that also in the simple ways. So let's get into the video. Okay, here we are with the simple uh, UI where I've just rendered a text called Flutter series by Likita, where I'll just remove it and try to make a builder UI which we have thought. That is, let's go back to the UI and see how we are building it. Okay, let's try to understand how do we make this. Firstly, if you could see the screen, what we are doing is we are trying to place the element one after the other. See, understand the direction of the widget. So the direction of this widget is basically like a downwards, to be honest, it's like a vertical direction. So first what we'll do is we are trying to make a small profile. Under the small profile we are trying to build two things, that is a name and the designation of that person, and two small boxes that does have the number and also the email of the person. So all these four widgets are vertically placed. I think this makes a sense. Okay, the first thing is we want an image. We'll discuss in the when we get into the code how do we get this image. Second thing is the name and the flutter. It is just an one more widget where that widget has two things. One is a small two widgets that is placed like a column, you could see, and second one is an small box where it has two elements. One is of an image, the icon, and the second one is a simple text, right? And these are placed right next to each other. It is in the row direction. So what you are seeing this, it is in the row direction. Okay, same thing it is repeated in the below. I think you got the concept. So what we'll do first, we'll first keep all this element in the column wise, which nothing but we first have to create a widget called a column and started to put all these elements one by one. So let's get into the code. Okay, here we are. Let's start removing this text which is unnecessary for now. And so what is the first thing you have to do? We have to place a column, and columns take our children. Okay, so let's hit save. So what are the children we want? We'll just try to write that in the comment so we are easily able to follow. The first, we want a profile card, a small profile picture, and second is we want uh, another column which contain two things. One is a name and designation of that person, and the third thing we want is a small box or like a container. It's just like a container. Let's say it's a phone number box, and the fourth thing we want is a email box, which is a fourth one. Just make this as a fourth. Okay, these are the four things we want to stack it under the column. So let's start with the profile. So how can we create that profile? First, how can we get the image? We know in the older videos we learned how do we get the image. Either I can go here, create a new folder called images, and go inside this pubspec.yaml. Make sure I uncomment all this and try to run the pubget dependency. The moment when I do, I can able to get the images. It's the first thing. Or I can just go directly to I can just use the URL from the external source, and I can just use it. So what we'll do, one of the major resources that we can easily get is, okay, in the last video also I told about this AppyKit UI, where I'm trying to put or place every resources that I wanted, and also the blocks that I easily quickly go through. So if I get any confusion in between, so from here if I go, the one of the asset that I wanted is Unsplash, where I can get images for like a profile images for the my app that I want to design. So I can just go here and search for a portrait, and I can select any one portrait. So any other images also it's fine. So what we'll do, we'll just go here, try to copy one of the images. Let's say let's copy this image, or okay, let's try to copy this image, no worries. Copy the address, back to the code. Here what we'll do, under this profile thing, what we want, we have to keep the image dot network, where I have to paste the address. So what I'm doing, instead of creating folder, I'm just directly getting the image. To be honest, it's a bad thing. You have to create the folder. That's like, it's a more bit professional, and it's a challenge for you people. Go create a folder, download this image, try to place it here, go to pubspecs.yaml and try to uncomment it and run it. So it's one of the channel. Pause the video and try it out. So let's move on to the next thing. Here the image is quite large, but I wanted a circle thing. So we have one more widget called a circular avatar, where we can make use of, which takes a child. It can be either a normal image, or it could be you can just give a fill, like a background fill to it. It doesn't matter. I'll just cut this off, come back here, paste this. It will give a small circular thing, something like this. Or I can just remove this child. If you could remove, I can see the small circular thing, right? To increase that, let's give a radius to it. Let's make it as 100 or something. Okay, 100 is fine. The 80 could also be fine. Okay, 80. Let's keep it as 18. So what we want, a background image. So here, don't give the child directly as a image. Use the background image. So let's use the same, that is image dot network, but you guys have to use a asset, so make sure you do create a folder and create that. So I'll just paste the link, make sure remove all these unnecessary things. Here we are, we have pasted a link. There's a little problem, just cut the link here. Okay, image.network. Let's see what's the issue. Network image. I'm sorry, it's not image.network, it's a network image. Paste the thing. Okay, here we are. So there's a little mistake. It's not image.network, it's just a network image. So try to paste that, you'll get a circular image, something like this. So next thing we want to do is a column, and this column has two things. One is a name, and we have to give a designation of that person. So to create that, you're seeing two elements which have to be placed one and under the another. That's nothing but a column. So we have created a first children, that is a circular avatar, and second children should be a column again, which takes a children. The first children, we want a text, and the data should be name. Let's write a Likita for now. Okay, and second element is also a text. So just let's do one thing, just copy the same thing and make sure each element is have to be separated with comma, or else it will throw an error. If I just remove this, I'll get an error. Okay, make sure it is removed. So let's give a occupation or designation like a app developer or a Flutter developer, whatever you want. You can see do you guys can guess why there is an error? As I told, each element, this column is a main parent element, right? Where these children have to be separated with a comma when you write it. So you make sure you put a comma to it. And inside this column, let's hit save. So I can see the name and the designation. Make sure to give a little size increment of the font. So for that we have a property called style. Inside the style, which takes a property, if I hover the text, we'll get a property called text style. Just click type a text style. Inside this text style, we want to increase the font size. So give the font size and font size of 18. Let's see if it looks good. Let's give a little more better, like 22. Better. Just give a font weight, font width, not a width, sorry, font width. And I wanted it to be a little bold. Give a bold. Yeah, it's fine. Now let's make sure, let's give the same style to the app development. Give a style, make sure you give a text style. Inside that, increase a font size to be like 20. Not bad, it is good. And let's make sure the letter spacing should be 0. Okay, and the font color, it's now black. Let's give a font weight, should be like a regular font weight dot, let it be like a 500. Now let's give a color to that, which should be like a little gray. I can just use a gray color, or I can use a black with opacity also. Let's use a gray. If it doesn't look so normal, let's use black only with the opacity. If I do dot with opacity and it takes a decimal number between 0 and 1, so I've given like this. Fine, it looks better. So the next thing is, we are done with the second column. Third column is a simple box which takes a 2 element, which is nothing but a row. We have to create a row. So let's go below here. Let's create a row which takes a children. The first thing is, we want an phone icon, then the text called a number. Done. So what we'll do, we'll create a icon. How do you create an icon? Icon is usually taken by the Google. Okay, this icons, as I told, it is from the Google. Google is providing an icon. So how it is providing all this widget, it has its own style of design. We are getting all this icon from the Google. You can see here all the Google fonts, Google icons is been there. You can just search for the icon you want. We want it for the phone. I can just get the phone. You can see what kind of phone you want. So you can just go back to the here. What we have to do, we have to just write icon, and it takes an icons dot which icon we want a phone. If I click on phone, that icon will be resemble. Second thing is, there's an error in the row because, as I told, each element should be separated by comma. If I hit save, you can see it here. We are getting an icon of an phone, and second thing what we want, a text. So after this icon, let's write a text, and the text should be a number. So you just write a random number, 91 plus 1 2 3 4 5 6, or some numbers. Should be like fine, it's good. And the number is little small. Just make sure you give the style to that number, and text style should be a font size of 18. Okay, now it's visible. Just make sure the letter spacing should be 0. Okay, very good. Then the first row is done. The same thing we have to do it for the another fourth box, that is a row. Make sure it is separated by comma, and that row takes a email. So make sure instead of phone, there's a mail. Just type the mail, you'll get a mail. And next is, instead of a number, just write a mail called likita@gmail.com. We are done with this. Okay, the next thing, let's compare what we did and what is there. You can see the screen where we got the image, we got the text, we have written this also. The fourth thing also is far good, but you have to think in the normal wise. Okay, this two is done, fine. The third thing is there's like a little box where there's a little light blue color inside it. Then there's a little space between them, and it is like a small box with some kind of shadow, right? So let's try to create it. So whenever you want a box, what we'll usually do, we make sure the overall thing is been covered with a container and make sure it is separated. Then inside the child just paste it here. Okay, and this container we want a little background color. The color should be like kind of blue, and we can get the blue and we can make this opacity of 0.1 or 0.2. It's kind of like this, or 0.05, just like little shadow kind. Okay, 0.8 is fine, I think so. Yeah, or just keep it for the 1. Okay, and the same thing, we can even give a padding to it. So let's go here, padding, edge insights dot all, and let's give a padding of 8. The 8 to 10 is also good. Okay, we got the perfect one. And second thing is we want a little spacing between the icon and the number. What we can do, we can use a sized box. Let's go inside this row which is responsible for having icon and a number. Inside this, let's use a sized box, and since it's in the row, the size box takes a width, that is like a gap, and we want a gap of 8. It's a perfect good. Same thing, we can just come here, copy the same thing and do or wrap the whole thing with the container. But in the image that we want to create, you could have seen the like little box shadow, etc, etc. We can go inside the container, we can use a decoration here, and you can give a shadow also. But I'll tell you the more easier way. Instead of using container, we have one more element called card. Okay, I'll try to use it here and show you the difference. Card, by default, it will give a little shadow down below there. So we don't have to worry about giving or decorating our own. We can just use the card. If you could see the card, there's already a little shadow over there, right? There's a card. I can just give a margin. I can give elevation of 0. If you do elevation of 0, this card will become plain normal like that. I can give the color that I've given for the blue with the opacity of 0.1. Can give for the same like this. And okay, we did the same thing, but without us giving a shadow or box shadow to it. By using just a card, we got this. The second thing is we want a little padding and also gap between them. So I can just go here, I can just use a sized box of width 8 and make sure it is separated, which will give a gap. But we want a padding that makes this the content inside the box little spaceful, right? So what we can do is we have a class called padding class. What is this? Because if you go here and if I do control space and C, we don't get padding in the card. We just have a margin. Okay, we don't get the padding. So what we can do is to make this padding a little bit, I can just use the padding class. You can see here, this is the card class. The card is like by default, you'll get a few things like a title and like a base thing. And the second thing is about the padding class. It just gives a little padding around it. It just wraps around it. So what we can do is here in the row, we want a padding that is inside the card, right? So I'll go to the row. If I go here and if I create padding, if I hit control, see, okay, you can hit control enter, or you can just go here, you'll get an bulb like a symbol. where click on this bulb like a symbol and you'll get what to be wrapped. If we want a wrapping, a padding. If I wrap for the container, what it will do? It will give a padding here which we don't want. We want a padding inside here which is in the row. Just go here, wrap the whole thing with the padding class. By default it will give a padding class which will be constant and it will be like 68. Instead of that, let's make a 10, which will be a good number of this. And if you could see here, the color is like a little changed. The blue color, instead of that, it looks like little gray. So what can I do here is, for this, instead of giving with opacity, I can just give a direct color to it, but I have to use a value 0xff and you have to paste the value. Okay, or else I can just increase the opacity like a 2, which little looks like a blue. If you want a light blue also, we get a light blue. Yeah, here it is. With a opacity, with a shade, you can use opacity or a shade, which will reduce this shade to 100 or 200, whatever the color you want. Okay, which is like a fine now. So instead of using a container, I can just use the card. So let's replace the whole thing here also. Let's take off this row and try to copy the same thing. Just keep the row below here. I can use it later. Just copy this card. Instead of the container, I'll just replace it with the card and I'll just copy the row again. Come back here. There's a row here. Okay. Instead of keeping this row, I'll just remove this row and paste the actual data, that is a number. So here we are. We got a similar kind of structure. Okay. Instead of 10, you can also give 16, which is 12 is a good number. Okay, fine. Let's keep it as a 1. Let's not get confused because just we are practicing it. So make it as 14. Fine, better. So we are almost done with the thing we have done. But I think the text is little small. Just increase the text or like font size of this both. And the next thing, we want to keep this as center and also gap. The margin. We have to maintain the margin. To keep the margin, what I can do is, as I told, in the card there's already margin, so I can just use the margin insides dot all. From the all the side, I can make it as 10. 10 is little low. Let's make it as 20. Okay, like fine. That is also good. Let's just copy the same thing for the other card also. We'll just paste the same thing. Come here, paste the card. And since we have given all, it is also taking here. We don't want all for here. For this, we'll use only, and towards the left and right we want it. So let's use symmetry instead of only. We'll use symmetry, which will take a vertical and horizontal. We want a vertical to be 30 and horizontal, that is nothing but a gap. For horizontal, let's keep it for the 10. Sorry, we just misplaced what we thought. Horizontal is in this direction and vertical this direction. Just change the numbers. Here we are. Okay. And also for this box also we have given the same. So that's why this is like a quite large width. So instead of that, we can also just copy the same thing. Come down here. Paste the thing. Let's not give the vertical for this. Okay. For here horizontal, just make this as 10. Or like a 20. Which is like little gap. Okay. Fine. I can give vertical for that also then. No, let's not give the vertical for that, because what will happen is we'll create one more. Vertical means up and down, right? You can directly use only for this also. If you want, you can use only, but let's not use this. Let it be like this. I can just use the sized box between this. This column and this column. I can just use a size box of height like a 30 again. And here we are. Okay. The next thing what we want to do is, I just want to increase the font size. Instead of 22, just make it as 24, more like 28. Okay, good. Let's keep this as 24 then. I feel like this little too much of font. Just make it 22 only, it's a good number. Fine. Let's go to the main thing, that is we have to place everything in the center. To place everything in the center, we have a widget called a center. So what we have to do here, we have placed this column, right? Here we have few properties in the column that, as I explained, and if you want to make the center in the vertical axis, we can just use the main axis alignment. Okay, in the main axis alignment, if I write main axis alignment dot center, it will be placed right in the center. And towards horizontal, if I want to make, I can just use cross axis alignment and cross axis alignment dot center. It will be placed in the center, and it is not necessary because it's by default it is in the center. So now it is in the proper thing where we have kept, we are almost done with what we wanted. So that's all for today's video. You can just change the color of this background blue to little like light shades. If you want to customize this color, I'll teach you one more way, that is you don't have to use the color that is from the material design. You can use your own colors. So instead of me using this blue color with the shade of this, I can just write my own color. I'll paste that color, okay, which is like quite similar to this, but it is not too much visible, but it is fine. So instead of keeping it white, I'll just use my color. How do we use? I'll just write color, and this color, it will take a normal XR value with a prefix of 0xFF, and you paste that color. And here we are with the normal. The color difference can't be visible because, and very important, how do we change the color of this scaffold? I can just go inside the scaffold. I can just write a background color and keep this as white, because by default it has different color. So now it is in the white color. Now you can see the color properly. So here we are done with the thing of creating a simple UI of the profile card. Try to practice it without seeing code. And try to practice the layouting things. We learned how to do column and how to do row wise, and how to place the element one below the other properly. So that's all for today's video. See you in the next video.